values. One thing that I just said that I think is really important. All of you, please, in your coaching philosophy, make sure that you personally have your values. I mean, do the same exercise and have your values. But then, when I work with teams, I get input and I hear the voices on the team so that they're part of this process of creating the core values. I know that my program has values, core values, and I used to just power them down. Now when I'm working with teams, what I found is, as I let the players work just like that team did that you saw, put that slide back up, those girls felt so good about those values, it makes it easier for them to hold themselves accountable to it. It's not some adult powering it down to them. It's like, we made these. Now let's hold each other. Let's have pure accountability. What I would do with my teams, we had core values, and then we had a core covenant. The core covenant was an agreement that every player signed, and the covenant was that we're going to hold each other accountable to these behaviors. And they signed it, and whatever it may be. So the value stated it was the values. The covenant was, we're all in this thing together. We made this. Now we've got our goal. We know what our goals and our vision is for our program. Now let's hold each other accountable. Okay, from the secondary school, this is what they came up with their behaviors. Just gives you an idea. Grit. We never lose sight of our goals. We give our best at all times. We stay persistent, tough no matter the situation. Because these are their words. Not all the things they said are really like visible behaviors. I like them to be as visible. Like if I go into, let's say, watch your team practice, and I know what your core values are, then I would like to know what you think the visible behaviors that somebody would see. What resilience would look like on a basketball court. What does it look like in netball, whatever it may be. And then their results. They filled this out right here. These were secondary students. Did it take them a little bit of time? Yeah, but it was pretty neat. Actually, they're playing right now in the national tournament week. It's a football team, and it's helped them stay together during some tough times in the season. That's what your core values would do. If you make them right and the players really buy into them, yeah, they're there for you when you really need them, when you struggle. This is a school that we're working with right now, and the school has, in fact, Simon, why don't you explain it, because you're the one that hands-on, you've worked with this particular school with it.
Yes, just quickly, guys. So Ralph's alluded to the talent, leadership and character program we run. So we're in 9 secondary schools, and they're all vastly different, from Rutherford College and Southern Cross campus that are Decile 1, Decile 3 to an Auckland Grammar and a Mount Hamlet Grammar. So you're looking at your 9s and 10s, Decile 1. So it looks different in every school. Just quickly on this one, Rutherford, really neat situation. Not working with teams per se, but working with sports captains and their sports council, and a really passionate, like you find in most schools, sports coordinator. And the students wanted to really try and reshape what sport looked like at Rutherford. They were a bit sick of being the underdog, we're just the easy beats from out west. They got some really talented kids there, and they wanted to create an identity. And Ralph said it's not just a 2-hour thing, let's write some words down. We're in about week 10 of me going in every week to get to this. But just quickly, the values on the inside are the school values that powered down around the school, but no real buy-in. The values around the outside of what what they've come up with, and it actually started to happen a little bit just when you guys were identifying your behaviours. That this was a really powerful session we did here. We ended up with starting individually. So again, thinking about how you take this back to your team. Starting individually, what were the values that were dear to these students? Then getting in groups of 2s and 3s, and then coming together as a team. We ended up with about 50 words across the board, and we got it down to 5. And that was a really neat experience to be part of. It started to happen here when, you know, we had belief here, and someone else chimed in and said, well, that could look like trust, and what does attitude look like? Does that look like hard work? And all of a sudden the students become quite passionate about defending their stance. And over time, then there was some good discussions, some quite heated discussion. All of a sudden the year 9 and 10 girls and boys started chipping in at the year 13s because they were all on the same, it was a safe environment, they were all on the same level. And they brought them down to these 5. And just to finish up, basically, next week actually, they're going to present to the headmaster and the senior leaders at the school around what their 5 values are and how they want them to represent sport. But our danger is these are the school values. So we've just got to make sure that when they've, and this is why they've again come up with this graphic where it all interlinks. It's not school values, sport values, one sits higher than the other, and they're all linked. They all mean the same, but the students have real ownership. So guys, if you do this with your teams, with your athletes, just talk to these guys about it. The students, athletes have got real buy-in. You, going back to the beginning, really understand who you are, that self-awareness piece, and you come together as a collective, it becomes really, really powerful. And there's some good examples just within New Zealand. Obviously the All Blacks do it really good, but Byron talked about the Breakers, the Chiefs, a bit of a roadblock just a couple of weeks back, but it's tested their core values. But generally do it really, really well. So we've got a lot of good examples. I mean, Ralph brings them over from the States where they've had professional sport for a lot longer, but there's some really good examples starting to take shape here in New Zealand as well. So just think about how you can bring it into your coaching, and if just quickly on talking about parents, if you can establish a set of values that everyone's bought into early in your season, and then you get the athletes or the students to present that to their parents, makes it very difficult when dad and mum hear little Johnny or little Susie say, this is what we're about, this is what we're trying to do this season, to start sort of biting back, because they'll, 9 times out of 10 they'll want what's best for their son or daughter. So just thinking again strategically how you can do it throughout the season.
Was it intentional that you put the schools values in the middle, so the school's got that buy-in behind it as well, because that's in the middle?
Yeah, absolutely, because the big red flag when we sit down with the headmaster next week is he goes, well, no, hang on, we've already got 4 values here, why do we need another?
Yeah.
So it's for the student, and again, I'm not giving the presentation, the students are.
Yeah.
It's about them being able to articulate, well, yeah, we really believe in this, but we want this to wrap around.
Yeah, it's to watch the growth of the students and the pride they're taking to get to the point to have this meeting with the headmaster or the principal.
Yeah.
That their sport teams, they want to demonstrate resilience, and they think that will help them with that whole core value of excellence. I mean, they have it all there so that they're not trying to mess with the school values. They're looking at behaviors that's going to help their sport teams have success. So, I mean, they're taking a real positive stand that I think is great in a way that they're passionate about this. If they didn't care, they wouldn't have gone to all this work. And the nice thing about it is their teams are starting slowly to get some of these behaviors. So, yeah, it's really fun. You know what I'd like to do with the challenges is if you would go down to the, can you switch to the last slide, that 4 questions. And it's the self-awareness of, I think it's probably at the very end. Is that this one? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Okay. This could be something that, as you're trying to bring your teams together, or if you're working with individual athletes, getting them to have a deeper self-awareness. These to me are the four most important questions that I need to get answers from an individual athlete and eventually a team. I start out with an individual athlete, and the very first question is very similar to what I ask you. Why are you coaching? I want to know why you're playing. Why are you playing football? Why are you playing hockey? You need to have a relationship so they're not just giving you the answer they think they should be. And that takes a little bit of time, I know that. At Minnesota, that's where I come in because I don't control their playing time. The head coach, the assistant coaches, they're not in there. I've developed individual relationships with each of the 24 young women. There's mutual respect and trust. So, I mean, that I need to say that. That's very important. The second question, though, is I need to know what they want to achieve. That's really important. If you have a team and all of a sudden there's a commitment problem, some of the players are unhappy because some of the other players don't seem to be as committed. Well, before this season even gets started, let's make sure we're really clear on why you're playing and what you want to achieve. To me, I've got to know that. I won't work with an athlete until I really feel comfortable with all four questions, but I start with those two. Then it comes down to, it gets a little bit more difficult, because now what I want to know is, what are you willing to invest? What price are you willing to pay? You've told me what you want to achieve. Now, what are you willing to invest? The fourth question is, now that I've got that, it leads me to this. What did you do today to improve? So in other words, I want evidence. I want someone to be able to give me something very tangible and say, okay, fine. I did this, and this, or whatever it may be. Because if you're going to get extraordinary results, you as a coach, you need to know your players well enough to understand that. And then once you work with them individually, now here comes the big thing. If you're in a team sport, okay, just imagine. Each of you, you've talked with me. You've told me. Of course, I can see your actions every day at training too. But now, we're in a changing room. Now, it's not individuals, it's one team. Why are we in here? I want to know, why are we all in here? What do we want to achieve? I start out with just groups of 3, and they talk. And then all of a sudden, we start finding out, we put things up on a whiteboard. And boy, sometimes it takes them 3 sessions working, trying to get all these things out. But then the key thing is, the first 2 are pretty easy. I have players that are going to play professionally next year. I mean, they're there for a reason. I mean, they're there to get an education, but they're very talented players. We were ranked 11th in the nation last year. I mean, we're good. So the first 2, yeah, that's just kind of, I just want to make sure everyone is all on the same page. But this one, what are you willing to invest? That's when we really get into what price are we gonna pay? And we all have to agree. Because if one of you is holding us back, you're keeping us from achieving our ultimate goal. It's unacceptable. It's one of those unacceptable things. So before the season ever gets started, everyone agrees as far as what they're willing to invest. And that's when the core values, that core covenant, part of the core covenant is that if you see a teammate that is, let me put it this way, if I, as a teammate, am performing in a below-the-line behavior, then I realize that it is the responsibility of all my teammates to tell me that I am performing below the line. We talk about it. We have exercises on how we're going to tell someone. Again, it's that courageous communication. I don't want them screaming at them. I don't want somebody grabbing someone's jersey. Listen, we all agreed this is what we want. If we all agreed to that, then I would want one of you. If for some reason I'm holding the team back, okay. There's ways to do it. The girls basically, they'll say it pretty much in a positive way. They'll be, come on, you're holding us down today. You're better than that. We work out, it depends. If we even, based on each other's personalities, we talk about how is the best way. If you're below the line, you will have told all the team, if you see me operating below the line, this is what I need. We all heard it. We trust you, and we'll give that to you. Now, it's your responsibility to respond to us in a way that does what? Get your behavior above the line. If not, okay, don't do this to us. So, you see kind of where these 4 questions work. So it's a way of trying to at least, as you go into a season, to be able to get everyone. Then if you have your core values that are being part of everything that you do, it makes it a little bit easier. Nothing's easy. It makes it a little bit, you improve your chances. I put it this way, when I first started coaching, I was always trying to I didn't want problems. I wanted everything to go really smooth. Now I realize there's always going to be problems. There's going to be little friction. There's going to be something. It's your ability. That's where it goes back. Remember I said about knowing the pulse of your team and getting a feel for it? Because that's you want to be a great coach? Well, everyone can be a great coach when everything seems like it's going okay. The great coaches are the ones that read those situations. They see that, hey, you're not quite right today. That doesn't mean I'm not down on you. You know what? I'm going to find a way to lift you up. It's your responsibility, but I'm going to try as a coach. And maybe that means we're going to have to jab you a little bit. Maybe we have to just give you a hug. I don't know what it is. You don't call them hugs. What do you call them? Oh, okay. Okay. But anyways, I think there's a lot of different ways to do this. Let's what's another one that we wanted to talk about? I don't know if that helps at all with these 4 questions. Go ahead. It's your turn.